I can't see a thing, Jim.
Well, hold on.
I swear, it's always some damn thing. Wait, got it. Ah, hell, this thing ain't gonna hold.
Shut up.
Yo, we are back. Anyway, here's the sword tier list. Did we do this? I feel like someone asked for this. Speaking of magic. Did the kids these days even know what sort of X and Y is? S words. Maybe. We have not? Alright. Then I'll do it as requested. So, let's talk swords. I do have a reason, okay? There was once, these were once, some of them, were like the kings, right? Sort of fire and ice, feast and famine. Oh shit, dude, right? So good. But, ahem. One of the reasons why the swords as a whole, just all of them, have all gotten, I would not even say a little worse, but significantly worse, is because they've been printing a lot of really, really good colored artifact equipment. And so, yeah, Sword of Fire and Ice is real good. You can't put the Reaver Cleaver on it. The Reaver Cleaver is crazy. Like, it's hedging out some of these because the other equipments are, like, so good. That's kind of a problem with all of these just in general. Now, it's still really good to have protection from two colors. They're unblockable. They all do shit that's cool. But outside of an equipment deck, I think you play none of them. None of these swords are going in S tier. Auto include. Literally none. I don't even know if any of them go into great. I think we're almost just talking about equipment-specific decks. I don't think there's a reason to play even one of these in a non-equipment deck, really ever, anymore. Time marches on. Power creep is real. And some weird inside-out kind of stuff, like you can't target your own guys. You can't, like, slip out the back, phase out your guy, Galadriel's intervention, kind of put the Reaver Cleaver on something. That's like a tricky part to it. You play like reconfigures and living weapons and stuff now. Besides the classic, Swiftfoot Boots, sometimes Lightning Greaves. Shadow Spear. Auto, that kind of stuff. Hey, were you planning on changing the background music used for the index reading? Yeah. I've been meaning to for a while. 2 index readings ago, as in 2, so 8 hours of streaming those ago, I'm like, I think it's time to change the background music, but I haven't had time to search for another DMCA free one. But yeah. I was planning on doing it, and I probably am. Line Slash, Rabbit Battery, Lizard Blades, those are the equipment you play nowadays. Perhaps, yeah. No Sword of Calder. List sucks. Sword of Calder sucks. Got him. Sorry I had to do that to you. I know assembling the Calder combo is cool and old, and it's, the Mirrodin had cool cycles. I get it. Let's start with the best one. Let's start with the singular best one, and I'll go here, and just so people can see him. The best sword, and it's not even close. It's not even a discussion, really. The best sword of X and Y is Hearth and Home. No question. Protection from the best removal color, which is white, and the best creature color for getting your attacks through, which is green. So it's essentially the best 2 colors to gain protection from. And it flickers a creature, and creatures are nowadays The power creep is so crazy in Magic that creatures are 3 different sorcery paragraphs printed on a body now with enters effects. And so that's crazy value. And you search for a basic, so it ramps you. It does everything you want in all of Commander. You don't want to be blocked. You don't want your guy to get removed. If you have Vigilance, you want to perfectly block green creatures, sometimes even white ones. It produces value by giving you another enters trigger, and it ramps you. It just does everything. It's the best sword. I call it Sword of Commander and Commander. And the best it can do is good. This is the best sword. And the best it can do is be in good. It goes in some Blink decks, maybe. Some Flicker decks, maybe. And some equipment decks, maybe. Because the 2 colors it's immune to are 2 colors of equipment that you're probably not playing on that guy. Unlike red, for instance. It's the best. Where's this guy finding all the swords? Inside packs of Magic cards. After that, what's the second best sword? After that, probably the second best sword is Feast and Famine, maybe? Feast and Famine is the second best sword. So, Sword of Feast and Famine. Oh, disgusting Assassin's Creed bad game art. Absolutely gross. Now, Feast and Famine is a sword that people play, but they shouldn't. They shouldn't do it. Most of the time people play Feast and Famine, I think it's wrong to do so. They see untapping all their lands and they think that's really good, but I don't know. A lot of decks aren't taking advantage of that in ways that they could. Your opponent discarding a card is generally whatever, sometimes even good for your opponent, although more likely than not it is bad for them. What I will say about green-black is it's 2 excellent colors for getting your attack through and to have protection from. Green and black. Black a little less so. If black is trying to kill your guys, it's generally forcing you to sacrifice them, so that just doesn't, it generally doesn't matter. Then again, white's probably wrathing them, so it doesn't matter over here either. So fair enough. Untapping all lands you control, it's very good if you have a lot of draw, Make sure you're always maximizing that mana, but a lot of times people just kind of throw it in. And I think it's probably in C tier. It's not good. It's at the top of like C+, maybe. Or is it like bottom of good? What do you play this in? Like, what should you play this in, though? I could see playing this in almost any commander deck, technically, that plays creatures. This thing, in a certain way, who doesn't want to untap all their lands? But also, if you're just playing the value random land untapper, I mean, it could be something else that's more focused. Just play Belladra's Witherbloom. Well, you can play this in non-green-black, right? Man, I'm so torn. Fine. I'll put it in good, but Sword of Hearth and Home is way better than it. Next. I'll no longer go in order and I'll just start doing, alright, Body and Mind trash. Body and Mind. Protection from green and from blue. Those are good colors to have protection against. Blue does do a lot of targeting. Although Cyclonic Rift doesn't, but, blue's going to target stuff. And green is a wonderful color for getting your attacks through, as always, right? It creates a 2/2 green wolf creature token. That's decent. Creating a little blocker guy is undervalued in Commander, but I think it's really important. Making a little blocker guy, just having stuff out, discourages people from attacking you. If you have a guy out and your opponent doesn't, your opponent's probably getting attacked. And that's a low-key kind of fact of life a lot of the times in Commander. And then that player mills 10, which is either irrelevant or actually good for your opponent. So that's a problem. It either doesn't matter or it's good for them. Unless I guess you're on a mill strategy, but if you're on a mill strategy, then you're combo milling, probably. I don't see the appeal. It's trash. Sword of Fire and Ice used to be the best one. It was the one that survived the longest in Legacy. It's no longer that good. Is it better than Feast and Famine? I wonder. Having protection from red and blue isn't great. Drawing a card is really good. Dealing 2 damage to some 2/2 hate bear or something like that is actually pretty decent. Untapping all your lands is potentially strong, and having better protection colors. Which one of these two is better than each other? Probably this way, right? Feast Sword. But it's pretty close. I don't think you play either of these in any case. I think I'm ready to say that Fire and Ice is worse because the amount of equipment they have printed that causes you to draw 1,000,000 cards has been a lot higher than the amount of equipment they've printed that causes you to ramp or something. So I think Sword of Fire and Ice is just, if you're trying to draw cards, look elsewhere. They made the equipment for you, and they made like 4 of them. Possibly even 7 of them. So we'll say it's not good. Next is Light and Shadow. Ugh, I hate that they use the most recent art for all this stuff. I don't want to look at Assassin's Creed, but here it is. Protection from white and black. Decent colors to have protection against. Gain 3 life, totally irrelevant. And return a creature from your graveyard to your hand, really good. Recursion is really good. Especially in Commander, Recursion's the name of the game. If something was worth playing once, it's worth playing every turn. That being said, Sword of Light and Shadow is probably in the not good / never play. Getting a creature from your graveyard to your hand is potentially more useful than people give it credit for. Sword of Light and Shadow, everybody thinks is like the terrible one. I think it's quite good in Commander. Quite good in Commander. But still, you would probably never play it. And so it lands in C tier. Is Vorpal Blade on here? No, but I could put it in here. That's the one where you win the game if you play 8. So if you're in a Cabal Coffers deck, and your commander has horsemanship or something, then Vorpal Blade is hilarious. It's like a hatred that stays on the battlefield, right? It's funny. Is it good? Probably not, but I think it's fun. It's a funny win condition, and so I'd put it in. I won't blame you. And Sword of War and Peace. Sword of War and Peace was absolutely ridiculous in draft and limited. And that's it. It does some damage and it gains some life. Who gives a fuck? It's trash. It has protection from actually good colors, though. Every way that red has, just about, to kill creatures or wrath the board involve damage. And so the guy is fucking invincible. Your opponent is sitting there looking at a hand of absolute trash, garbage ass. I'm playing mono red and I want to kill everybody's creatures, and so I'm living in a fantasy world where these Wrath of Gods are good, like Blasphemous Act and whatever 1 for 4 where all the creatures deal damage to themselves equal to whatever. And Sword of War and Peace just wins, right? It's super good, but it's not like any of those red cards are good anyway. So it's trash. I think it's better than Body and Mind. Because it hoses red so hard defensively, kinda. But it's still trash. Next up, Sword of Sinew and Steel. Here we go. The only card you won with in draft more than War and Peace was Wormcoil Engine. Oh, it was so good. Oh man, Wormcoil Engine's my city. Sword of Sinew and Steel. Pro black and red. Again, decent colors to be protected against. You're immune to the color red, largely. And black, I mean, it's going to get sacrificed, but you can't be blocked. That's sick, right? But what does it do? When it deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to one target planeswalker. Huh? Who? Destroy up to one target 1v1 format card and up to one target artifact. Okay, destroy an artifact, kind of nice. Everybody's playing artifacts. It doesn't even have to be an artifact that the player you attacked controlled. Funny note. Planeswalkers never happen, so it really only does one thing when it attacks. Which is very disappointing. I like that it can shoot any artifact anywhere, regardless of who you were attacking. However, it is trash. But it's at the top of trash. Next is sort of Truth and Justice. Pro white and blue. Not great colors to be immune to, but it's fine. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it, and then proliferate. I think proliferate decks... Are proliferate decks still crazy desperate enough to play something like this? Maybe. I don't know the mind of a proliferate player. I read this and it's just ipsum lorem text. This thing is trash. But I don't know how desperate people are to trigger the proliferate effect. So... Anyway, so because I don't know how much people actually play proliferate, I'm going to put it in not good. I don't know the minds of proliferate players. I don't know what their deck lists are supposed to do. So I'll put it in not good. Instead of never play. Or trash. Sort of once and future. Radstorm exists now. Proliferate just means desperately spamming toxic and usually getting bodied before the plan works. Okay. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, Surveil 2, which is generally a bad mechanic. For self-mill, kinda, card selection, kinda, but just generally not good. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. And then if it would be put into your graveyard, exiled. So it's Snapcaster Mages and, what's the Thought spell for 1? It's like a fair, you used to do this in Legacy with, Delver and stuff. It was like mill 2 draw a card. Anyway, an entire, like, blue-black Snapcaster Mage fairy deck printed on 1 card, which is kind of cool. But it's just very, very, very not made for Commander at all. It's a super non-Commandly card. And then Sword of Green and Red. This is a sword I was very much looking forward to. A relatively recent sword. Much like Once and Future. That I was really looking forward to and was humongously disappointed by. Sword of Forge and Frontier. Thought Scour, that's it, Latino Hot. That was the one. Protection from red and green are great colors to be protected against. Immune to red removal, tons of green creatures, stuff like that. Awesome colors, right? Good work. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. Damn. It's unplayable. I'm so mad. You may play an additional land this turn. Amazing. You get an Explorer, extra land every time you hit something. If only this first one was a May. Because the new way, I shouldn't say new, but to me it's new, alright? The way that they decided red should have card advantage, the whole exile the top card of your library and you can only play it this turn thing, is so bad. It's so bad. Hey, remember that, hey, you know that card that you wanted to draw late game? It's just gone forever. It's gone. It's not like gone in your graveyard, you can recruit, it's just gone. Oh, nice. Oh, Godo? The Godo that I want to draw later? Yeah, he's just exiled. Oh, thanks. I love it. Holy. It ruins this card and it ruined the color for me, basically. Exile the top X cards of your library, you can play them this turn, is a really, really powerful effect in 1v1 matches and combo decks. But it's antithetical to the way that I want to play Commander and build Commander decks. It's the ultimate FOMO. It's so bad. I hate it. Never play. Next. What's the other thing? Sort of Dungeons and Dragons is a meme. I won't even look it up. It's a silver border card, whatever. Trash. And then the most recent one, Sword of Wealth and Power. Sword of Wealth and Power. They ran out of color combinations. And every sword they printed after Sword of Hearth and Home was a huge disappointment. And they wanted to disappoint us further, and so they wrote Sword of Wealth and Power. Protection from instants and sorceries. Now this is cool and interesting. But the reason why the swords are good is because they want you to hit the opponent. And they give you a way to hit the opponent because they get protection. You can't block creatures with protection. And so they're a nice little, they combo with themselves. The creature is unblockable for 2 different reasons. And then it gives you something if your creature wasn't blocked. Awesome. Well, here we have Sword of Wealth and Power that doesn't do that. So it's like kind of trash as a sword of X and Y because it doesn't do the thing that all the swords do. Protection from instants and from sorceries, right? Which is like maybe 30% of the reason creatures die is from targeted instants and sorceries, maybe even less. Like sacrifice effects get them, wraths get them, abilities get them, combat gets them, blocking gets them. I think they made this because it's like kind of cool from a mechanical, thematic kind of standpoint, but it doesn't work at all as what the thing is supposed to be. And then if it manages to deal combat damage to a player, which means they just didn't have any creatures or something, you make a treasure token, which is good. And when you cast an instant sorcery spell, you can copy it, which is great. What a good ability. But it doesn't help you do that, and so it kind of fails as a sword. Anyway, it's really bad, but it's kind of like interestingly bad. I think maybe it's like the most playable of the never play ones. Anyway, there we go. Hearth and Home. These are not good. But you could play with them anyway, and I think usually they're maybe a mistake, but you can if you want to. And then these you simply never play. You can play this one in a deck that doesn't care about any of its own cards ever. Like if you have no combos and no interactions and no expensive cards and no situational cards, then sort of Forge and Frontier is really good. But I don't know who would ever build a deck that has none of all of that stuff. And then these are just simply trash, like they're just bad, or they don't exist. And largely speaking, we're just past the sword era. This is, this is a final salute, I guess. We're mostly past the sword era. They've printed Shadow Sphere, they've printed Shadow Spear. We got reconfigure creatures that they're technically creatures, and then you can equip them onto stuff for pretty cheap, and they turn into equipment, and then they turn back, and they have colors. We have Reaver Cleavers, and equipment is just better than when this kind of stuff was around. And they don't play nice with those because a lot of them have colors. It's a sad day. But Hearth and Home is still ridiculous. Feast and Famine feels good when it works. Recursion is still good and having pro stuff. These are probably outclassed by any 3 different other things you could be playing instead. These are like interesting ideas ruined by something, and then these are just all like really bad and always have been. All right, hey, damn, I love swords. There you go. And tell me how wrong I am in the comments. And just so you know, this is self-awareness time, okay? Because I play an equipment deck, and it features Hearth and Home, Feast and Famine, Light and Shadow, Fire and Ice. I play 3 cards that I just said aren't good anymore. And they're not, but I play them anyway because it's a commander. You're supposed to play funny stuff if you want to. So there you have it. Anyway, hey, all right. Do you guys got any comment or question before we close it out on just about anything? I said open stream, and so I was just going to meander. I had things prepared just in case, but What's my mic? Can't remember. I'm very unhelpful here. I can't remember. I'm sorry. It's not a Shure SM7B like all the other. That used to be like the mic everyone would recommend, but it was too expensive for me. It's just like it's like a vocal mic you can get at a Guitar Center with a bulb at the end of it. And I probably should have a pop filter, but I lost it. It has okay sound quality, but not the greatest. Someday I'll upgrade. No idea how Magic works. Play Warhammer, but I love your content regardless. Hey, thanks for liking my stuff, even if you don't quite understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes I watch people, even if I don't know what they're talking about, because it's interesting listening to someone talk about something they're knowledgeable or passionate about, right? Pop filter, how will you drink Dr. Pepper? Sort of falling off. Yeah, basically. I wonder if there's like an equipment tier list. That would be more interesting. Shit. We should have done that one. Should have done the equipment tier list. But that probably would have taken too long because there'd be a billion of them. Bruce, thanks for becoming a Heywoah enjoyer. I appreciate it. On YouTube. TYVM. No idea about Magic, but you just love hearing you yap about nerd stuff. I'm here to yap about nerd stuff. Riffs, Dungeons and Dragons, TTRPGs, Magic, Warhammer. Sometimes even movies, film industry. Vidya games and waifus. Skull Clamp, Auto, S. It's so good. Oh, Skull Clamp. Oh, how I love Skull Clamp. Future content ideas, following like Mana. Manriki Gusari. Sideboard card meme at best. Destroy target equipment. Okay. It probably has to exist, but I don't know that I would ever actually play with it. I love that. Anyway, yeah, I mean, if we're rating equipment, That's easy. All right. Reaver Cleaver, S tier. This is my Arden Crom, like Weeabo Fightan Magic equipment deck. Reaver Cleaver, S tier. Dude, treasures equal to the damage dealt, infinite attack phases with aggravated assault, or just crazy value. S. Let's go. Helm of the Host. One card infinite win con with Godo, Banded Warlord. Alls you needs is 11 mana. Kind of tricky, but you can do it. Like Helm of the Host. I don't know where I would put it. I don't think it kind of defies tier listing because it's just part of an infinite, but it's not that great outside of it. Urza's Saga is probably an S tier equipment. You have to wait a little while to get the equipment, but it gives you 2 constructs in the meantime. Not bad. Don't forget, you can respond to the sacrifice trigger to create another construct, or float a mana, if you so please. Oh hey, like Book of Nine Swords. Yeah, exactly. What other? Key to the Vault is a brand new one. This shit is so good. I love Key to the Vault. Very pleased with it. In theory, it was good. In practice, it was great. Yeah, in practice, it ended up being just about as good as I thought it would be. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, look at that many cards atop your library. You can exile a non-land card from among them, put the rest on the bottom, and you can cast that one for free. Damn, that's value. Let's go. Big fan of Key to the Vault. Big fan. Skull Clamp with the Yoji Shinkawa artwork. They fucking got me. I thought the secret layers were so dumb. Universes Beyond. And then they're like, what about the Metal Gear concept artist? And I'm like, you son of a bitch. Fine. You fucking got me. Skull Clamp is so sick. And the way Arden works. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to target, permanent, or player. Target permanent. And I did this too. Names have been changed to protect the innocent Craig. Saturday. Arden triggers. I attach Skull Clamp to target creature, his Bird of Paradise. So Skull Clamp is attached to it. It kills his bird, and since the bird dies, draw 2 card trigger, but I control the equipment still. So you draw 2 cards and you kill their guys. And so there's a little like tiny early game sub combo here where you end up killing everybody's little mana dudes and X1s as you draw cards off of it, which is super fun. What else? I do have Sword of Fire and Ice. Even though it's kind of a non-bow and it kind of sucks now. But it started out as me playing all the good Sword of X and Ys. It doesn't work with Reality Chip. It doesn't work with Key to the Vault. It doesn't work with Reaver. It's so sad. I should probably take it out. But I'm booming over here with my Swords of X and Ys. Yeah. Anyway, and it's, all the different colors are good ways to become immune to people's decks, kinda. So, fair enough. Reaver Cleaver sounds like a metal band. Yeah, it's sick. The Reality Chip is very nice with the stupid anime art on it, of course. It gives you Future Sight as long as it's equipped to a creature. Sure, I'll play lands from the top of my graveyard, value, or the top of my library. Reality Chip is value. Card has been very nice. Commander's Plate is like generically good. It's probably the least specifically good artifact that I run for equipment, but the reason why I put it in here is because it gives the creature +3/+3, and a lot of these like cool utility ass equipments aren't actually buffing the creature's power and toughness that much, and so it's nice to just have something kind of big, and it's protection from the colors that you don't have. So it's also cheap. You can search it off of Urza Saga if you want. Same with Shadow Spear. This is Shadow Spear. Getting Trample and Lifelink are both very important in a deck like this because you're going to be attacking, and you're not going to have a lot of creatures, and people are going to hit you back. Getting rid of Hexproof and Indestructible is sometimes useful. You can search it with Urza Saga. It's just an auto. I don't need to tell you guys this. Shadow Spear is great. It's super, super good. Black Blade Reforged. If you want your creature to become absolutely huge, that's this. 1/1 for each land you control. Gets massive, and you need at least 1 or 2 artifact equipment to find that make the creature just like impossibly big if you need to. And there's a bunch of draw and tutor to find the one that you need for any particular social situation, right? It used to be the hammer of something or other that gave the creature like 10/10, and it loses flying, and it only cost 1. But I found it made me the arch enemy too quickly, and I didn't want to kill people that fast. I wanted to like play the game, and so I took one that ramps slower, essentially. Phyrexian Metamorph, again in that same secret lair that they got me with. It can cost 3. It copies any creature, copies any equipment, copies any artifact. It's just everything, right? Super good. Strata Scythe. All right, hand up. Yeah, Colossus Hammer, I think is what it's called, yeah. And this is the most boring equipment that I run, probably. It doesn't have any special... They never gave me any special arts or any cool stuff with it. But it's actually so good. 2/0, First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. It does every single keyword that you care about. Getting Vigilance somehow in an equipment deck is really important. To be able to both attack and defend with your massive guy. Finding a way to get Vigilance in your Voltron deck is really important. Sort of a Chroma Vengeance. Yeah, Chroma's Vengeance. That is too many good keywords. Put those back. Dude, that's a lot of good keywords. It's all of them. And +2 power on top of it. Great. Urza, Lord High Artificer. Well, he's in the good stuff for a reason. No, I don't have infinite combos with him or anything. It's just, now all of my equipment can tap for blue. It makes a giant construct token, and sometimes I can shuffle my library and do cool stuff. I just think he's neat. Ragavan. Some people say that Ragavan sucks in Commander, and they're basically right. You know, he's only really good early game. But you put enough equipment on him, and it allows you to get a treasure token and kind of attack even late game when you suit him up with enough juice, right? What else? Oh yeah, Conqueror's Flail. This is another one that's kind of snuck into every deck, including this one. Your opponent's casting spells on your turn. Well, that's bullshit. You don't want them to counter your stuff, right? Hey, play on your own turn. Get out of here. Also, it gives the creature +3/+3, which is not bad. So Foot Boots for haste and Shroud. Sorry, Hexproof. I don't play Lightning Greaves because I need to target my own creature way too much to play with Lightning Greaves. And I don't want to move it off of something and then put the thing on it, because then now there's an opportunity for your opponent to kill it in the middle of it. And so we only play with the Hexproof one in this deck. Mithril Coat for Indestructible. Hammer of Nazran for Indestructible, and then also it like auto-equips onto it if you happen not to have Arden out. It's kind of nice. And +2 is pretty good as well. The downside to this one is that it's not indestructible. The downside to this one is that it doesn't auto-equip for you. Fine. Usually you auto-equip anyway. No big deal. Time for Bloodforged Battle Axe. I was thinking about it, but it just didn't make the cut. Bloodforged Battle Axe has to be out for a long time for you to get in my opinion, to kind of make it worth it. It has to be out for a long time, and you have to be really hitting people with stuff. Which is maybe fine. I think it's like a good card in a certain type of equipment deck. A bunch of ramp, sort of Feast and Famine, sort of Hearth and Home, sort of the anime. Generally what this deck tries to do is early game we tutor, and the first thing I always search for is Hearth and Home, probably, or sort of the Animist. Getting a creature out like getting some Ragavan idiot out right away and putting either Sword of the Animist or Hearth and Home on him so we can start ramping every time he attacks is the, like, plan A of the whole deck, is get a man out, equip him with one of these two things, and start ramping in colors that don't have green, so they're hard to ramp with normally. And then whatever else happens after that, we can try to draw enough cards to work our way out of whatever that situation happens to be. Right. Sword of Light and Shadow for recursion of our creatures. Sun Titan for recursion of our fetch lands and our equipment and our creatures and just everything. Sun Titan's super good. Mantle of the Ancients is sort of like a replenish. For after someone destroyed all artifacts, you play Mantle on something, it gets all of them back up, and now the thing's huge, right? And these two guys, Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch to get our permission and removal back. Every upkeep, and Archaeomancer to flicker to get our permission and protection back every turn. Synergizes with Hearth and Home. Every time you hit something, you flicker Archaeomancer and get mana drain back. It's kind of a nice loop that happens. Alright, I attack with my guy, I search for a land, I flicker Archaeomancer, get mana drain back, go. Oh, you try to do something, I'm on a drain, okay, on my turn I attack, flicker her, get mana drain back, you know, or whatever else you're doing. So it's kind of like a loop, or Sun Titan, or whatever. And then Argentum Armor, big. Sometimes you just need to blast something. Whenever creature attacks, destroy target permanent. It even hits lands. Equipped creature gets 6/6. It equips for 6, but actually we're playing Arden, so it equips for 0. It's still expensive at 6, but huge, stupid-ass equipment that vindicates every time the creature attacks, not even does damage. You're in. And Lion Sash, of course, is too good not to play. You need Graveyard Hate. You can tutor for it with your things. It puts it on itself, and that puts it on the creature. It's Scavenging Ooze, except a living equipment that's better in like 5 different ways. Amazing, right? And as a funny little thing, this guy with a bunch of equipment on him is actually hilarious. Spike Shot Elder. Spike Shot Elder with like a Black Blade Reforged and a Shadow Spear for life gain, or for lifelink. This guy's silly. You can enter a state where you're just chilling there with a bunch of untapped mana, and you can pay 3 to do 9 to something 4 times. It's kind of funny. He probably shouldn't be in there, but he's like cute, and Commander is the place for some cute stuff. Here's the things that I recently took out. Recently took out Final Showdown, Clever Concealment. I don't have enough creatures out exactly to make it totally free. And I think you play Clever Concealment if you can make it free. And if you can't, then probably don't. I took out Cavern Horde and Dragon because it was an alternative win con with Aggravated Assault. Like, instead of Reaver Cleaver, you can have the Dragon for 2 that swings for 6 and gives you a bunch of treasures. But the problem is, like, halfway through killing everyone, you start attacking the person that doesn't have enough treasures to go infinite anymore, and I don't know, something had to go. It should probably be in instead of the funny little guy. But, and then I was running Assault Suit as a absolutely maulding for how I need an equipment I can search for every single situation, you know? Like, oh, what if I need Indestructible? What if I need Hexproof? What if I need protection from any particular color? You know, I want to always search for something that'll get it done, right? And so I'm like, I know. I'll search for Assault Suit against Grave Pact decks. Because the creature can't be sacrificed. And at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have the player gain control of it, you just don't. You just never choose to give it to him. And it's essentially an equipment that says 2/2 haste and can't be sacrificed. But, I don't know, it kind of got taken out. I still think maybe I don't need 2 indestructible artifacts, and I should just choose 1, and then Assault Suit goes in. For the most, like, oh damn, just in case this and that, how do I make the most invincible creature or whatever. Anyway, so those are the equipments that I'm playing in this one, and some of them are a lot better than others. But they're all funny. They're all funny little guys. And they go on a little flying haster, which is kind of nice. Poor Ooze, little buddy, used to run through Legacy. Yeah, now he's not even second fiddle. He's like seventh fiddle at this point. Just don't put that on Endrixar. This would be the perfect Archaon deck. You equip him with Eye of Sheeran, Slayer of Kings, Armor of Morkar. Yeah, to form the, give him all the artifacts that he has in the lore. And if they were doing a secret lair, wouldn't it be cool if they had like secret lair Archaon's arsenal and it was like Archaon the character and then all specific magic cards that make sense that are just all of his little artifacts and then you can build a deck and put them on him? That would be cool. Damn, wouldn't it be cool if the secret lair was good? What do you think the best equipment ever is? Skull Clamp. Yep. Best equipment ever is Skull Clamp. I don't think it's close. Skull Clamp sits a head and shoulders above all other equipment in the game, I think. There are other really good equipment, and there are other maybe equipment that end up being stronger in a situation or something, but I think the best equipment is Skull Clamp. And it's just the King of Kings. The second best equipment ever is probably Musawa's Jite. However, it has not adjusted for inflation very well. And is essentially outclassed in the formats that would be allowed to play it at this point. But I don't know if there's a better bomb in Limited you could even imagine than Jite. Like, it was so... You simply win. Like, anyway. Head and shoulders above for the thing. It clamps. Yeah, it clamps the skulls, dude. We're clamping. Yeah, Jit is pretty good for sure. It's not really played anymore. And the only reason Skull Clamp isn't played in formats where it would be legal is because it's banned. You know. And you might say, well, Skull Clamp is kind of cheating because it doesn't interact with combat. Well, interacting with combat isn't actually a good way of winning. Or the best, or whatever. How much MTG streaming was there? You missed all of it. I mean, maybe 2 hours. A little less than 2 hours. Talked about all sorts of stuff. Apologies. You missed some of it. Yes, I play actual Stifle. Let's go. You gotta send a message in Commander. Actual Stifle. So many effects in Commander are activated and triggered abilities that might only happen once. I like it. I like it. And Stubborn Denial is kind of nice. You're going to have a creature with power of 4 or greater. Crom just is. And then furthermore, you're running a million equipment, right? So it's kind of good there. I've been liking Galadriel's Dismissal. I like this card. It's good for both ways. It's a protection card that can also kill your opponent, which is cool. You can target your own guy, and the way rules work is if you phase a creature out, all of the equipment attached to it phase out also. So if they try to destroy all artifacts, or they just try to deal with one of your equipments, you can phase the creature out, and all of the artifacts are saved as well, which is kind of a nice interaction. You can target yourself to phase out all of your creatures to avoid a board wipe, but then also sometimes you can just target your opponent, phase their creatures out, and kill them. So it's like randomly a win condition, which is kind of cool. Scourge was the best set, fight me. You would want to fight liking the Scourge set, but also the Scourge set was good. If you like phase outs, are you playing Robe of the Stars? I am not. It is white. And I'm trying to put sort of Hearth and Home on the creature basically always. And which one is better? Sort of Hearth and Home. I'll protect the creature with Stifles and March, and Galadriel's targeting me if it's this. Counter spells, free counter spells, indestructibles, almost free counter spells, other counter. I'll protect the creature that way. Than an equipment that just kind of flickers and gives it a big butt. Odd question, has there been much ruminating on a how-to for 4th Ed AOS, like double turn video for 3rd? I've actively decided not to do that yet, because I'm waiting for a big overhaul that might be coming. The FAQ that we got a few days ago was basically like we fixed a typo. This rule technically didn't work because we worded it this way instead of that way. Yeah, it works how you think it does, but, you know, that was the FAQ that we got. I'm imagining a big FAQ that's a lot more like, is this the way we want the game to work? Is this the way we want manifestations to work? Is this the way we want underdog to work? I'm holding off on how to play the game until then. And in any case, the advice that I give is pretty new player thing anyway, you know, very basic stuff. If you want advice on how to win tournaments, my advice is to find someone on YouTube who has won 3 tournaments in the last 5 tournaments they've gone to personally, you know. Mine is like, don't run to the center of the table and just stand there and then get doubled. Like, don't do that. Or try to outdrop your opponent. Low drops is good. If you're at the bottom of the battle round, consider giving priority away so you can be at the bottom of the battle round next round. Although that's actually not that great this edition. Maybe this is a reason why I should talk about that a little bit. But it's like level 1 advice. But a lot of people don't know level 1 advice. And so they might as well click on my video to learn the level 1 advice. If they want competitive tournament advice, well then they're going to click on competitive tournament gamer advice. I should hope. How good is blue dealing with enemy equipment cards? It's great to cast Cyclonic Rift. And then it untaps and wins the game with some combo. It's great. I played against somebody playing Memnarch as the commander. Yeah, Mirrodin Memnarch. And he tried to steal my equipment, and so I stifled it. And then he tried to steal my equipment, and I stifled it after returning it to my hand. And then he tried to steal my equipment a 3rd time, and it finally worked. And then he stole the rest of my equipment. And then he killed 2 people with him, but he couldn't kill me, because it was my equipment, and if he killed me, it would go away. Funny how that works. Sometimes you get got, it's commander, no big deal. What am I going to do, not play equipment? Blue you would say is mid, but consistent way to remove stuff, and then you put counter spells and Cyclonic Rift. Yeah, blue has a few exile target artifact. They get a, whatever, 4/4 idiot or some sort of map thing. They have a few cards like that. There's a null, or not a null, but there's a new Swan Song that counters an artifact or a creature, I think. Blue is plenty adept at dealing with artifacts for the most part, and anything it can't deal with, it can either counter or bounce everything. It's plenty good. I mean, you can fight back against it. I have a lot of interaction here. Well, I have a lot of interaction on the stack, right? And so it's just like a game. You just play the game. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. Try attacking with 7 stun counters, yeah. I will try to. It'll take a while, though. No Pithing? No, I don't have Pithing Needle. Even though I am running Urza's Saga. Even though I'm running Urza's Saga, I don't have Pithing Needle, because the deck is pretty single-minded, and I built it to be single-minded. It was kind of a conscious choice. I'm like, I would like a kind of a dumb equipment Voltron that's more single-minded than I would normally build, and less control-y and more obsessed about, like, interaction and stack removal and stuff like that. So it doesn't go as controlling as, or it doesn't go as stacksy as you might expect it to. Like, there's no Pithing Needle, there's no, who's that 2/2 that makes artifacts enter tapped and you can pay XX white to destroy all of a certain amount or whatever. There's a bunch of, like, stacksy sort of cards that you could or probably should be running in a deck like this that would turn it from like a Jeskai equipment thing into more of a Death and Taxes kind of deck, but I don't want to do the Death and Taxes playstyle, really. And so, you know, sometimes I'll get blown out by Memnarch. Oh well. I ended up winning anyway. It's fine. Dismantler. You have a Galta that is the meme of Timmy. Sometimes it's fun to have a theme or a design restriction or something like that. As you can see, I'm operating under a very strict design restriction, right? Every card has to be amazing. As you can see, very restrictive design restriction. Every card has to be fucking amazing, but single-minded. Anyway, there's an old joke from a million years ago. This guy at a local store was like, I have a design restriction for this commander deck. I can only play, and then he would describe in one sentence, basically, I can only play cards that are fucking amazing, you know. And so it's just become a meme among, to call something a design restriction and then show me like the 9 most expensive best cards in all of Commander. Like, oh, nice design restriction. You managed to word a sentence that allowed you to play all that. Like, interesting. I only consider admitted humongous mistakes from the company, is my design restriction. I actually just took Mox Diamond out of this deck, even. Speaking of design restrictions. I gotta put it in something else. It's not the best, but it's Diamond Pickaxe. I like Diamond Pickaxe. It was in the top, like, it was in a collection of, like, 8 equipment that could very well go in here, but it didn't make the cut. It's indestructible, which is normally kind of irrelevant, but sort of neat. I like making I like making a treasure every time it attacks, but it wasn't quite impactful enough. A perfectly fine artifact to play in a deck like this, though, I would say. It just didn't quite make the cut. Like, essentially, what equipment for 1 does it replace? Commander's Blade, Morgul Knife. Sorry, Shadow Spear. Pardon me. That being said, I like it, and it's good. It seems low-key, but I think it's better than people give it credit for. It just didn't make it. And, damn, I wish this guy came in non-foil. Wyleth. How come they print cards where they don't appear in non-foil? Second world complaints, am I right? Anyway, it's time. MTG, yeah, the little MTG. I was just going to leave it open and have people talk about whatever, and we got onto a Magic kick, and it never ended, and people started asking about Commander decks. Let's go. Oh no, my Magic cards are too fancy. Well, I don't like foils specifically because they curl, and then they become marked cards that you can cut to, and I don't want to be like that. And so I prefer to play, because I used to be competitive with Magic, and you didn't play foils because they would bend and you'd be cheating, and your opponents would call you on it, and they would be mostly right. And so you just don't play with foils. Either they all have to be foils or none of them, right? And so I've kind of kept that up, and so I don't want to play with any foils. I like them to look cool, but I don't want them to be foil. And this guy only comes in foil. I'm mad. Release a normal version, you cowards. If it's the commander, that doesn't count, because it's always outside of the deck, so that, you know, that doesn't count. Anyway, funny monkey. Alright, I gotta get out of here. My apartment is 7 billion degrees. Like the surface of the sun, and I gotta turn on the AC. I have it turned off so that you guys don't hear an annoying noise in the background, because I care about my viewers. As I absolutely sweat. But it's time. You need to play more Commander. It's always so long to play it. Your LGS only plays Commanders on work days or mid-Sunday when the buses don't run. Okay. Yeah, I don't leave the Wizard Tower too often to play just a random pickup game. But if I'm going to the grocery store anyway and maybe to pick up a card, I might stop by every once in a while. You got to do all your things at once for, like, leaving the house efficiency, right? They have an app for that. It's called Spell Table. Yeah, I mean, I could play digitally if I felt like it. But I guess we're talking about, like, live Commander. The Command Tower. The Command Wizard Tower. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Join me Wednesday. And Games Workshop, 8 p.m. CST. So, probably going to see some Stormcast. Probably going to see a whole lot of other stuff. Big. Can't wait. Surprise me, Games Workshop. This time, can the roadmap have, like, actual info on it? It won't. But I don't care. I hope the Stormcasts look good. See you Wednesday.